Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of Matplotlib PyPlot. In this video, we will learn about creating line charts and scatter charts. Line charts using plot function. So this is the first function that we will be using, and we will try to learn about the plot function, and we will also try to create a graph using the plot function. Now let's try to learn the plot function from a practical perspective. So in order to use the plot function, I have to import the Matplotlib library. Let's try to import it. Here I have imported the PyPlot of Matplotlib, and I've also set the alias name as PLT. In this program, what I want to do is I want to plot all the list of programming languages and the users. So in the x-axis we will have the list of programming languages, and in the y-axis we will have the list of users who are using those programming languages. Now let's try to generate that graph using Python PyPlot. So these are the list of programming languages, and here I will put the list of users who are using those programming languages. Let's say 5 people are using C, and 10 people are using C++, 15 people are using Python, and again 10 people are using Java. Now let us try to plot the values in a graph using the plot function. So the first argument which the plot function takes is the value of the x-axis, and the second value which the plot function takes is the value of y-axis. So after passing the values of x-axis and y-axis in the plot function, I have to use the function show in order to generate the graph. Now let us try to execute this code. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see I got this graph where in the x-axis I have the list of programming languages, and in the y-axis I have the list of users who are using those programming languages. As you can see, for C we have some sort of values, for C++ we have some sort of values, for Python we have some sort of values, and for Java we have some sort of values. So this was all of the plot function and the basic concept of how you can generate graph using the plot function. Now let us try to apply various settings in plot function. Here we will try to manipulate the line color and the marker color. Also we will try to manipulate the marker type and the marker size. Now let us try to implement the following settings in the existing Python program. Now as soon as we execute this code, we get a graph which looks something like this. You can carefully observe the default color of this graph. We will try to change the default color of this graph to green color. So in order to change the color of the graph, what we will do is we will pass the third parameter, that is color. This way we will try to change the color of the line of this particular graph. Now let us re-execute this code. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see the color of the line got changed to green color. So this way we can play with the colors using the plot function. Now if we try to understand this graph, we know that a line graph consists of markers which are connected by lines. So if I need to have those markers in this particular graph, I can use the markers parameter and I can set the value for the marker parameter. So on the basis of that, this graph will have some particular markers, and I can easily visualize those data points using those markers. Now let us try to pass the third parameter, that is the marker. There are a few specific characters and symbols which are used to represent the markers. As of now, I will use the plus symbol. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see I can get the data points. So these are the data points of this particular line graph. As you can see, all those data points are represented by the plus symbol. Now we can see that the marker size are a little bit small. So if I want to manipulate the marker size, that can also be done. For that, I need to pass the next parameter, that is the marker size. What we can do is we can set the values of those marker size, and we can increase the size of the markers. Now let us try to perform that practically. Now let us try to change the marker size using the marker size parameter. Now what I will do is I will set the value of marker size parameter. So it accepts integer value, so I will put 8. I have set the size of the marker to be as 8. So this way we can increase the size of this particular marker. Now what we have done is we have increased the size of this marker to 8. Now let us execute this code in order to understand better. So now you can see the size of the marker got increased a little bit. So might be you won't be able to see the difference. Now let us try to increase the size more. So as I set the value of marker size to be as 20, you can see there is a significant change in the marker size. So this was some of the basic settings which we can apply on the plot function. Here is a list of few colors which are available in PyPlot. These are the colors, and these are the corresponding character code, applying which you can manipulate the line color as well as the marker color. In my example, I have used the character G to represent the green color in my graph. So you can use your color as per your choice. Here we have another list which represents the type of markers and the description. In my example, I have used this plus marker. You can use your marker as per your choice and requirement. From this entire list, you can use any one of them. I've already shown how to set the marker and the marker size. In case if you want to change the marker edge color, you will use this parameter in the plot function and you will set the value to a valid character code. So this was all about line chart or line graph. Now let us try to understand how we can create a scatter graph using PyPlot. So scatter charts in PyPlot can be created using two functions. This is the first function that we can see. This is the plot function. Using the plot function also we can create the scatter chart, and there is one more function that we have is scatter function. So using the scatter function also we can create the scatter chart. Now let us try to understand both the functions. The syntax to create scatter charts using plot function is same to that we have used in creating line charts. The only difference is that the third parameter that we will pass is marker. This has to be noted that we have to pass the parameter as marker. Here we won't assign the value to be as marker equal to the marker type. We will directly assign the marker type. Let's say for this problem set I need to create a scatter chart. So for that what I will do is I will pass the xy axis and the third parameter that I will pass is marker. Here you can see I'm just passing the value. So I'm just passing the value and I won't be assigning it to a marker. So here you can see I'm just passing the marker value. So let us execute this code in order to understand better. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see I got a scatter chart. So this is how we can use the plot function to create scatter charts. Now let us try to understand how we can use the scatter function to create the scatter chart. So this is the basic syntax, PyPlot along with the dot notation and the scatter function. Now let us try to implement this practically. Since we have already assigned the alias name as PLT, we won't be using the PyPlot. So PLT.scatter. Here we will pass the x and y axis. And let us try to execute this code. So as soon as we execute this code, our data gets visualized in a scatter chart. Here we can also pass the parameters like marker, size and color in order to manipulate those elements. Now if we want different colors and different size for each and every single data point, that can also be performed using the scatter function. So for that we need to pass two more parameters, that is S and C. S stands for size. This will accept a list of size of all the data points, and this will accept the list of colors for all the data points. Now let us try to understand the syntax practically. In this example I have the following data points 5, 10, 15 and 10, and for all the data points I need different colors and different sizes. For sizes I will create one list, and for colors I will prepare one list. So this is the list of size for all the data points. Let's say for the first data point the size is 100, and for the second data point the size is 150, and for the third data point the size is 200, and for the fourth data point the size is 150 as well. Now let us put different colors for each and every data points. So here I will list name colors and I will use those color codes to assign the colors. And in this scatter function I will pass the following list: size and colors. So the S parameter represents the size of all the data points, and the C parameter represents the colors for all the data points. Now let us try to execute this code. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see those data points with different sizes and different colors. So this was all about creating chart using plot and scatter function. We'll learn about the upcoming modules of PyPlot in the next video.